The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with 5 good news stories, and good news for a woman. She was rescued from an outhouse. She climbed in to retrieve her Apple Watch, and she got trapped. She had lowered herself inside the toilet after dropping the watch at the Department of Natural Resources boat launch at Dixon Lake. First responders were called when the woman was heard yelling for help. The toilet was removed, and a strap was used to haul the woman out. Officials tell us if you lose an item in an outhouse toilet, do not attempt to venture inside the containment area. Serious injury may occur. You're wondering, did she get the watch back? I don't know. I hope so. Good news, we found your stolen Van Gogh painting. The painting was stolen during a museum heist. Heist is a great word. In 2020, under the cover of COVID lockdowns. The thief was arrested, but the painting remained at large. Now, thanks to art detective Arthur Brand, that sounds like it should be a TV show on Netflix. The painting has been returned to the Groninger Museum listen to this, after an anonymous person took possession of the painting, left it on Brand's doorstep in an IKEA bag. The painting is the Parsonage Garden at Noonan in Spring from 1884, painted in oil on paper on panel. Art detective Arthur Brand said, "We knew that the painting would go from one hand to another hand in the criminal world, but that nobody really wanted to touch it. You can only get in trouble, so it was a little bit cursed." The thief was sent to prison for several years and given a $9 million fine. Smithsonian Magazine reports that art detective Arthur Brand has recovered over 200 artworks through his detective work, including 2 bronze horse sculptures commissioned by Hitler and works by Picasso, Dali, and even artifacts such as a 15th century Persian poetry manuscript. The media has branded him the Indiana Jones of the art world. Good news if you're one of the 2,000 captive southern white rhinos. You've been released into the wild, yeah. Conservation group African Parks works with governments across the continent to manage 22 protected areas. They purchased the struggling platinum rhino breeding operation. The animals and their offspring will be released in secure managed locations in Africa over the next decade. Meanwhile, 5 puppies are learning to be assistance dogs, and they had a good time at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Recently, the 5 pups and their trainers walked through a TSA checkpoint, rode an elevated tram, and boarded an airplane. It was part of an effort to acclimate the dogs to one of the many settings they're going to have when they get a job. Paws with a Cause is a nonprofit that oversees the custom training of puppies that become assistant dogs. Liz Hood said, eventually, when they're placed with our clients, they may need to fly with them. So if they have the exposure now while they're young, then it means it's not going to be a big deal for them when they're with their clients, when they're older, and hopefully the puppies have TSA pre, I'll tell you that. The 5 puppies bounded through the airport, earning more than a few quizzical glances from airline passengers. The dogs shuffled down a jetway and onto a plane, and they nestled at the feet of their trainers who were seated and gave the pups some tasty treats. It's been a minute since I've done one of those wacky McDonald's stories that keep showing up on this podcast. Well, a man has created sustainable sunglasses from McDonald's wrappers. What? Yeah, a man makes sunglasses from anything, including biscuits or McMuffin wrappers. He makes 35 of these a week. Jack studied product design in school. Said sunglasses have always been a weird interest that he's had. He started making his own by using hardened denim. Jack explains, "I found that sharing the process of how I make these frames online was something that people had responded to really well, so I've done it more and more. There's only so much I can show my viewers about the actual process of making glasses, so I've had to come up with other unique ideas like biscuits or food from McDonald's." But he warns you, if you want to get your hands on a pair, there's an 8 to 10 week waiting list. Jack said, "I've recently recruited some team members to help with the business, so there's 4 of us now. I'm not sure what the business is in the future. Right now, we only sell online, but in a year or so, it'd be nice to see my frames in a store." Okay, and there's your 5 good news stories for today. If you like the show, tell a friend about it. Maybe they'd like it too. And you can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows. I should also self-plug. I host a podcast every day of the week. It's called Daily Comedy News, where I talk about the comedians and what they're up to, if you want to check that out. All right, you go have a great day.